It was awesome seeing Peyton. That was the first thing I saw when I walked into the indoor for practice. Just it was him standing there. So it was awesome. Yeah, we talked for a good amount of time before practice, and then obviously he talked to the whole team. We were able to ask him some questions, things like that, just pick his brain. But it was awesome having him here.
Did they ever ask you at any point yesterday or whenever to do that quarterback series on Netflix?
No, I haven't been asked to do that. Yeah.
Would that be something you would consider if it was on the table?
Maybe. I mean, depending on the time frame, like kind of what it looks like, it's a possibility. But I think right now I just need to kind of focus on ball, kind of take care of that first.
What question did you have for Peyton?
Man, I mean, we talked a good amount of time before practice just on wide receivers, kind of how his role was with the receivers when he was young, kind of starting out, communication with coaches, things like that. Just make sure he was asking me pretty much if everybody was on the same page in terms of me with the plays, with guys, if everybody's good communication. And I was pretty much telling him, yeah, we have a really good communication around here. But I was just kind of asking him how that was with him. And I think he talked about that to the team in the team meeting room as well, just hinting that that's one of the biggest things that he felt was what made the Colts so good when he played with them, was just how well they communicated with each other, how well they bonded as a team, all that kind of off-the-field stuff.
Was there any advice that you took away from just your one-on-ones with him?
Yeah, no, that's a lot of advice. He had a lot of really good gems just in terms of taking notes, how you watch film, when you're at home by yourself. Are you writing down questions, things that you can, come back, ask your coaches later? How are you asking to be coached? Like, are you a guy that, wants to be coached really hard? Are you a guy that kind of just wants to be able to do your own thing? And it all matters. He said that when he was a player, that was his biggest thing, was he wanted to be coached really hard. He always wanted to be told what he was doing wrong and things like that. So.
Do you do that? I mean, like, if you have an experience or you prep for a game on a defensive coordinator, it's like, I will remember that if I face that guy again?
Oh, yeah. I take notes every week. I think everybody on the team pretty much takes a good amount of notes. But being able to have that kind of those notes you can go back to on teams you played in the past, those are always good. I like to keep all that stuff. But Peyton, that's another thing he mentioned was like just his game film prep the week going to a game, how serious he took that, how he watched. He says he watched 4 games on Monday before he even come to the week. He'd watch all the film before he comes to the meeting to know exactly what he's going to be seeing, what looks he might have questions for, and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it just goes down to that preparation. That's a big takeaway we took away from him.
Is the offense getting tired of doing push-ups and up-downs and whatnot at the end? Is that frustrating?
Yeah, no, it's very frustrating. I think we're all pretty tired of it, but kudos to defense. But obviously, it's disappointing as an offense. Collectively as a whole, it's definitely an area that we need to step up and figure out how we can turn that thing around.
I know it's only August 1st, Jordan, but is it 2-minute drill a source of frustration for you guys at this point, or is it just so early that it's not really a big deal?
No, it's frustrating. Obviously, 2-minute drill, we're practicing the situations to go win a game, whether it's in the game, in the half. We're practicing that situation for a reason. That's when we need it. We need to go down, drive down, and win that game. So it's frustrating that, we haven't been able to, even get a drive started, let alone, move the ball downfield to score. So it's something that, we're going to go back and film, figure it out, watch it, see what areas we need to improve on, and come back to it next week.
I know you mentioned, defense is making things hard. You're playing some of the things that you aren't doing that could find a little more consistency.
Say it again.
Some of the things you guys aren't doing, perhaps offensively, that could help you find some consistency.
Yeah, I think it's just that consistency. I don't think we are being consistent in all the rules, in the offense, as consistent as we can be in the plays, and it just comes down to us being on the same page. And I don't think we have that right now. We're still kind of, going through those growing pains right now, but I think there's definitely spurts of it, and it's awesome to see. And then, it sucks when we have days where we're just not putting it together. And obviously, there just wasn't a lot of juice out there from us. And, it's disappointing when you're not able to put those plays together, but we just got to find a way as a whole to, come together and be able to turn that around right there.
Jordan, on the touchdown to Musgrave and red zone work, was that off schedule? Did you just find him? Like, how did that transpire?
Yeah, it was still kind of in the timing of the play. But yeah, I kind of got off him right there, moved a little bit in the pocket, and was able to find him he was floating around. He did a good job just kind of finding that space, not really running to get covered. and floating behind Quay right there. And then obviously I think the ball almost got tipped right there by Quay, so it was a really good job of him just having that concentration, be able to finish that play. But yeah, it was a little bit off schedule, so that's one thing that we're trying to work as well, is just a lot of the plays in the red zone go off schedule if you don't hit it right away. So just trying to find that spacing for the receivers to find a lane to get open and make plays down there.
What did you see on that play action flip to Musgrave a little bit earlier in practice where you kind of stepped up? Looked like you might have an angle, but you kind of tossed him the ball in the scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much a play action, kind of trying to hit a little shot behind the backers right there. And I just moved a little bit. The pocket kind of got off, and I moved, stepped up, and he did a good job because he's actually in protection right there. And the guy he's kind of trying to block kind of dropped off into coverage, and he did a good job just kind of finding a lane, getting open right there, and giving me a lane to throw it to him, and just kind of flipped it to him, and he did the rest. He made a really good play, and that might be a good 10-yard gain right there.
So those are two off-schedule plays. One, you stay in the pocket. One, you step up and look to leave the pocket and let go of the ball before the line of scrimmage. We were talking to Matt early in camp about that internal clock and knowing when it's time to flush, when it's time to stand. How are you doing with that, and what are you looking for in your internal clock to know if it's time to leave the pocket or hang out?
Yeah, I mean, from the basis of it is your footwork. Once you go through your read, our feet kind of tie into the read. So if you take 1-2 hitches, you should be looking for that check down. But at the same time, I mean, if the pocket changes, things happen. If you get flushed, always trying to look for those check downs, those easy kind of dump offs so you can get the ball out too. But like you said, yeah, that's a big thing we're working right now is just scramble drill, kind of. When you have to move in the pocket, that timing of guys just being open, find those little lanes right there.
Are you more comfortable with that than maybe you were year 1, year 2? Because just from my eyes, it seems like you're taking out of the pocket more than you did when you first came in.
Yeah, no, I think I am. I think it comes down to just being able to find those check downs, know where your guys are, where your little outlets are that you can dump the ball down to. But I think it's all a feel thing, being able to feel, where the pocket's moving, lanes guys might have on rushes, how they're doing their twists and things like that. So I think just reps, knowing where to get out.
Last week you talked about wanting to stay in your own lane as far as outside noise, just concentrate on what you can control. How's that going so far in week 1? You saw, I don't know if you saw, but there was a thing that came out, 26 rated NFL quarterback. Do you see any of that kind of stuff, or do you use it as bulletin board material motivation in the future, or do you just have to ignore it quickly?
Yeah, no. I mean, I haven't seen which one you're talking about. But yeah, I mean, that's been my biggest thing right now is just kind of block out the noise, block out the distractions as best I can. And a lot of it is, staying off social media right now. I mean, it's training camp, so it's not like we have a lot of time anyways to kind of be on social media. But yeah, it's been my biggest thing, just blocking that stuff out, because I don't think it's really going to do any good for me, for my mental, kind of seeing whether it's good, whether it's bad. I'm just trying to focus on myself, be the best version I can be.
Jordan, this is probably a dumb question, but when you're constantly switching centers during practice, are there any adjustments you have to make, or is it just you're getting a snap? Like Aaron said last year, Josh snapped the ball a little bit to the left, I think he said. Is there anything you need to adjust to when you're switching those guys back and forth?
No, I mean, it's always adjustments, especially the under center snaps. And that's why whenever, like in a game, whenever you're switching centers, you always want to get those snaps on the sideline before you go in, just because it's different. It's a different feel for everybody. But yeah, I mean, it's a change, but we get a good amount of snaps before practice. We switch centers in and out in our pre-practice center quarterback exchange. So both Josh, Zach, John's been in there a couple times. So all those guys, I got a pretty good chemistry of how their snaps are. But like you said, it is always different when you are switching centers. So.
This is like 15 minutes worth of questions here, but how do you learn how to win as a quarterback? Like Aaron had great numbers. They only won 6 games. I don't think Peyton did real well his first year either. So there's got to be some sort of process there. How do you get to that point? What's the key to being a winner?
I think the biggest thing is just keep going. Never let your head down. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be losses. It's not going to be a perfect season every year. And it's finding that capability to bounce back when not everything's perfect. I think Peyton talked about it yesterday. That's his biggest thing, handling adversity. He said he went, I don't know exactly what it was, like 3-13 his rookie year, and he talks about he had the rookie interception stat that he holds right now, and then obviously his second year they bounced back and were like 13-3. So it's just find a way to bounce back and get over that hump. He talked about he had a lot of years where they had some really bad playoff losses, and the following year is when they went to the Super Bowl. And his message to all the guys is just how do we bounce back? Right there, how do we get over that hump? And I think that's always what it is, just being able to come together as a team, stay unified and be able to get over those tough points.
Hey, Jordan, getting back to the centers for a second, is there a benefit to you if that competition gets decided sooner than later, or is the timing of the decision not crucial here, not just in terms of who you're going to be working with come week?
Yeah, no, I think right now we're just kind of mixing in reps, getting guys different reps. Obviously preseason's coming up, and there's going to be different guys rotating in and out. But I have a great camaraderie with both those guys. Obviously, Josh has been that guy, so we have a really good connection, and I think we're just looking to keep building that between us. So.
How's your connection been with Jaden, and how would you say he's been doing so far fitting in this offense?
Yeah, no, Jaden's been doing great. I think he's really coming along. The biggest thing is just consistency. Find that consistency in routes and in different looks he might be getting. But he's playing really fast right now. He's running some really good routes. You can see he's got speed. We're able to get him on the edge, get the ball in his hands on some jet sweeps, things like that. So it's just finding ways to use him and to the best of his ability. But I think he's playing at a really high level right now.
You mentioned always knowing where your checkdowns are and getting better at that. How often do you ideally want to use your legs? How do you view that as far as how big a part of your game that is?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always a viable option. I think it all comes down to how the play plays out. But I'm definitely not afraid to use my legs. I ran a lot in college, was able to pick up yards, but I think it comes down to once you leave the pocket, just being smart, knowing when to slide, things like that. But I'm always looking for the best option, whether it's receivers downfield, because some of these guys move a little bit better than me, can make guys miss, things like that. So it's definitely trying to pass first, but my legs are always an option.
Jordan, everybody wants to assess you, right? Being smart enough to stay away from the social media part of it. But you had a couple of wild throws this week, right? The one to Samori, the one to Christian, the deep ball yesterday, and then the one to Reed that he wasn't quite able to make, right? I know you're not satisfied with anything, but when you self-assess, what do you like that you're doing, and what do you feel like I have to be better at this if we're going to be as good as I want us to be?
Yeah, I think the good thing about those throws were they're all one-on-one balls, and really for me it's trying to put it out there where I can give my guy a chance. Not underthrow anybody, let the DB make a play. And those were a couple instances right there where it was just a really good ball, a great route, and the play came together perfectly. Obviously, the one to Jay Reed, we missed on 4th down. But I think those are all, for myself, those are all really good confidence throws. You make a throw like that, and you're like, all right, that felt good. So you can kind of repeat that, remember how it felt, remember everything that went into it. And those all just build your confidence, especially when you hit it with the receiver. Everybody, feels good about those ones.
What about on the other side? Are there things right now where you're like, I don't feel good about what we're doing, what I'm doing here, I need to be better here? Is there anything that jumps out to you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me that's kind of disappointed me so far is pocket movement. Kind of when the play breaks down, my feet kind of get off. Been a little kind of spastic in the pocket. And not being able to stay in control, stay in my base, and just kind of go through the reads. And that's kind of when I've got off and missed a couple of easy throws. And those are ones you wish you can get back. But I think that's the biggest thing that I just got to keep working is just having that balance in the pocket, not getting flustered. And if I need to get out, just get out and make play.
Are those deep balls, the good ones, are they also a lesson in you pissed at yourself for the underthrows you had on the first day? Is that what we're talking about here in terms of how you develop? Is I'm not happy with something, and a couple days later, I'm doing a lot better than I was?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's all about what you focus on, and that's been a key for me. Is I really wanted to focus after that first day is completing those deep balls. I felt like I was underthrowing them a little bit. Matt, we talked about it again, just letting it rip, and that's been my mindset. Is just throw it out there, give him a chance to go get it. If I'm gonna miss, I'm gonna miss deep. I'm not gonna underthrow any balls. So that's been my mindset and something I've been focusing on. And obviously now the footwork thing is something that I want to focus on now too.
How much can you get a sense for feeling the pocket in practice as opposed to when it's real, when it's actual games? Because a lot of your job obviously is going to come down to that when the games start.
Yeah, in practice, you just got to try and emulate it as best you can. Obviously, you're not getting hit, so it takes it takes a little bit of it out of the picture. In a game, you're getting hit, so you might be a little bit more quicker to get out of the pocket, things like that, get the ball out quicker. But yeah, I think I try and do the best job I can of just working it. If somebody gets beat, I'm trying to get the ball out quick, trying to see where I can get the outlet, to seeing how I can move in the pocket and get away from those things, and not just sitting there and kind of letting guys just run past you, knowing that they can't hit you in practice. But it just all comes down to how you practice and what you're trying to get better at, and that's something that I'm trying to go through, because I know in live games those pass rushes are real, and you got to be able to find the ways to get the ball out quick to help the O-line out, and you're not sitting back there holding the ball, because this is going to help everybody out.
What have you seen from your defense going up against them in terms of just sort of a mindset and just a feel for how they're playing? Is it different than last year at all?
Yeah, I think from a standpoint of just playing a little bit more press and challenging the guys on the outside, I think they're doing a really good job of that. I think we got some really good DBs that know what they're doing out there. They're really smart, really savvy. They're mixing up looks really well. They're disguising, if they're going to two shell, if they're blitzing from one way, blitzing from the other way. So they're doing a really good job of mixing it up, disguising things. And they're playing really well right now, and it's helping the receivers out too, just trying to get off press, get off jam, be physical with the routes. Some things that, in the past we might not have seen. It might have been more zone, but now we're being able to see those looks. So when we do go play those teams, that's all they do is press man. Our receivers have seen that. We've been able to see these looks, see how the timing plays out, and everything.
I don't think we'll talk to you before then. Just family night going into this week, preparation compared to the last few years. Is there any difference in the way what you're looking at it for Saturday as compared to you have in the past?
No, I'm not looking at it as any different. Really, family night for us is a practice in the stadium with a bunch of fans. So I think if anything, it's just all a chance for us to be able to, get our mental right for what it's like being in a stadium with fans. It's different from being out there on the practice field and just kind of, lock into being in Lambeau for the first time. But I'm not looking at it any different.
Did Aaron ever tell you the story of his first family night as the starter when Favre flew in and fans were booing him during the practice? Did he ever tell you that?
No, I never heard about that.
You'll have a much better night, I think.
Okay, I haven't heard that story, but I think it'll be a good family night, though. I think it'll be good.
Jordan, it looked like a couple of those keepers you guys were running today, not just you might have gotten blown up. What's the key to selling that?
Selling keeper?
Yeah.
It ties into the quarterback and the running back, being able to sell that zone, that outside zone, getting a great fake. And then also, the backside, whether it's a tight end tackle, being able to sell coming downhill to try and get that end to bite on the fake. But, it's one of those plays that takes everybody. It's not just the quarterback and the running back, but it takes that backside too, being able to sell it. But, we're ready for things like that. Our defense does a really good job having wide ends that, they don't come flying down and allow us to get that edge. They, kind of are slow to go on the backside and are waiting for that keeper. So.
Once the daily installation of the playbook is over in camp, the second half of camp, that's when you really start working on timing with guys and repetition of plays. And you look forward to that period in camp?
Yeah, no, I definitely look forward to it, because that's when everything's in. And we have more call-up periods where, it's not like we're going off one install and certain plays that we're running for the day, but, more of everything's in. And I think it's better for the receivers too, for O-line, everybody. It's more like a game right there where you don't know what plays are being called. And we get some more of those call-up periods. So it's good for everybody.